Hello students, I am Dr. Merrily Roy from Indira Gandhi Government Arts and Commerce College, Vaishali Nagar. My college is affiliated under Hemchand Yadav University, Durg. Today let us study Robert Browning's most celebrated and well-known poem, Prospero. So let's get started. So dear students, before we start with the poem, let's know something about Robert Browning. As you all know, Robert Browning was an English poet whose mastery of the dramatic monologue made him one of the major poets of the Victorian era. Robert Browning was born on May 7, 1812 in Camberwell, London, and died on December 12, 1888 in Venice. Browning has been regarded as one of the philosophical poets. Browning was primarily the poet of man. The range and variety of his characterization is wide and varied. Browning is known for his dramatic monologue. He had a mastery over dramatic monologue. The dramatic monologue was used by Browning with amazing skill and success. Browning in his dramatic monologue praised the readers, placed the speaker in critical situation, by which he lay bare the speaker and explored the inner thoughts and feelings. So dramatic monologue are often regarded as the study of the soul. For Browning, the soul is the stage, mood and thoughts are characters. Let us now start with the poem Prospero. First, we know about the poem Prospero. The poem Prospero was composed by Robert Browning in 1864. The poem was composed just after the death of his beloved wife, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, in 1861. Prospero is a Latin word meaning to look forward. The title is apt and suggestive for the poem. The poem looks forward with hope and confidence to meet his departed and beloved wife in the world after death. The poem Prospero is a monologue, but it is subjective and not dramatic like other monologues by Robert Browning. He, the poet here, is the speaker, and he expresses his hope, his courage, his determination, and it is done in an optimistic mood because he believes that he will meet his wife after his death. So dear students, let me first read the poem for you. Fear death, to feel the fog in my throat, the mist in my face, when the snow begin and the blast denote I am nearing the place, the power of the night, the press of the storm, the post of the foe, where he stands, the arch fear in a visible form. The poet starts the poem with a question mark. Fear death. He just asking us, should we fear death? In this poem, the poet does not fear death. Rather, he welcomes it. He compares a man approaching death with a climber climbing a mountain. Just as a climber on a mountain has to face fog, mist, storm and snow, but he still make effort to climb the mountain. Similarly, a man approaching death has to face pain, suffocation, difficulties, dimness of sight and everything. But even then, a man of power, a strong man, seeing his arch fear means the death, death standing visibly in front of him, he should stand strong and he should face the death, because death is the ultimate truth. And so we should face the death in a very strong way. And here the poet Browning challenges the death, that he says that he will not fear the death under any circumstances. Now the next lines of the poem are as follows. Yet the strong man must go, for the journey is done, and the summit attained, and the barriers fall. Though a battle to fight, ere the guardian be gained, the reward of it all. Here, Robert Browning says that by seeing the death standing visibly in front of him, being a strong man, and every strong man should not fear death, and he should face the death very courageously and very with all his effort. Because life, after all, is a journey, and the journey has to end somewhere. And when the journey ends, and we have to reach death, because death is inevitable. Similarly, just like a man climbing a mountain, his aim is to climb the top of the mountain. It is his summit. So for us, the summit is the end of our life, that is death. So when a man faces a death very bravely, very courageously, very heroically, he sees that all the barriers fall, means all the difficulties fall, it shatters away. Though the battle to fight the earth, the guardian begin, he says, then when all the difficulties go away and all the difficulties fade away, and we see that we get the reward of our courageousness, we get the reward of our battle. And this is the reward for Robert Browning, that he wanted to meet his wife after the death, and is happy that it would be his reward to meet his departed beloved wife. The next lines are as follows. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the best and the last. I would hate that death bandaged my eyes and forbore, and bade me creep past. No, let me taste the whole of it, fear like my peers, the heroes of the old. Dear students, these are very good lines, where Robert Browning says that he was a fighter. He was a fighter in his rest of the life. He faced many difficulties. He faced many problems. And even though he fought all these problems and came out very heroically, and this death, fighting with the death, will be his last fight. And so he wants to fight this last fight, because he wants that this should be the best of all. He further says that when he faces the death, he doesn't want to act like a coward. He doesn't want that his eyes should be bandaged. He doesn't want that his eyes should be closed, but he wants to face the death by his open eyes. He does not want to go to the death or move towards death in a creepy way, by creeping towards the death, but he wants to face the death very heroically. No, he says, no, let me taste the whole of it. He wants to taste each and every bit of the death. Means a death is, is along with death we have pain, we have fear, we have dumbness, we have moving off, we have many difficulties along with the death. But he wants to face each and every aspect, each and every hardships of the death, because he remembers his old peers, his old poets who had faced the death very bravely. And similarly, Robert Browning also wants to face the death just like his peers very bravely, very fearlessly, and very heroically. The next lines of the poems are as follows. Bear the brunt in a minute, pay glad life areas of pain, darkness and cold, for sudden the worst turns the best to the brave, the black minutes at end, and the elements rage, the fine voices that rave. Let us now understand the meaning of these lines. Here Robert Browning wants to say that life is a mixture of gladness and pain. He had endured the gladness in his life, and so now he wants to endure the pain, darkness and cold, because he says whatever areas of pain, darkness and cold still remain unpaid, he wants to pay them all at the moment of the death, so that he may enjoy perfect happiness in the life to come. He also says that if we face the death very heroically, very fearlessly, then it may happen that the worst turns the best to the brave, that it may happen the worst situation may turn into the best situation, and it may extract the bravery out of him. And at last, the death, the black minute at the end, that is the death, the minute of the death, and the elements rage and finds voices that rave. And when the black minute comes, that is the death comes, when he is able to hear the rage, the voices of the death, the murmur of the death, the encroaching hands of the death, he will face everything very bravely, because he know that after this hour he will have perfect happiness in the life that would come after his death. The last few lines of the poems read as follows. Shall dwindle, shall blend, shall change, shall become first a peace out of pain, then a light, then thy bare breast, O thou soul of my soul, I shall clasp thee again, and with God be the rest. In these lines, Robert Browning wants to explain that the terror of pain, of death, is only momentarily. It is for a very short time, because after the black minute comes, that is death comes, if we endure it, if we face it bravely, it goes away. And then we come into and we face a light that comes from the heaven. We see that out of the pain of the death, we have endured a peace. The light of the heaven will take Robert Browning to his beloved wife, Mrs. Browning. He believes that he will surely meet his wife after the death. How beautifully he writes in the last two lines. O thou soul of my soul, I shall clasp thee again. He says that when he sees his wife after that, he will hug her again, and then both of them will live in the abode of the God in heaven, and they will live there forever together. So this poem gives the optimistic sight of the poet, that he believes that the suffering of the death is very temporary. After death, he would get a permanent bliss and peace of mind, because he is going to meet his wife. Now, dear students, let's come to the theme of the poem. The main theme of the poem, Prospice, is death. As you all know, the poet looks forward to a battle with death. he determines to be a fighter and face death bravely, tolerating its pain and suffering. When death is inevitable, he says he wishes to attain a heroic attitude because facing all the horrors or the terrors of death. Because he says death is one that has to come and that has to be endured, so why not be a fighter and face the death? The second topic is confident faith in the future. As the title you know, prospis means looking forward, means looking for the future. For Robert Browning, death has to come, but it is not the end of the life. He believes in the future. He has a belief in God and heaven. Death is not the end, but a beginning of a new life after death. He believes that he has a future with his wife waiting for him in the heaven, and in future after death he will be united with her. Now the third theme which I think is appropriate for the poem is life after death. Robert Browning believes in life after death, in the immortality of the soul. He wishes to meet his wife after the death, and by meeting her he wants to have a permanent happiness because he knows that there is a life after death, and death is not all, because death is not all for our life. There is also a life that persists in heaven and where he wants to reside with his wife. Now the fourth theme is love. Robert Browning says that love is a continuous process. It doesn't end with one's death. His love for his wife Elizabeth was there while she was residing in his earth, and it still continues even after her death. And that is why perhaps he wants to meet her eagerly after the death, and he is confident that she is waiting for her, and he will meet her in the heaven. This gives the optimistic view to Robert Browning poem Prospis, because he believes that he will meet his wife and there they will reside perfectly in happiness and peace in the abode of God. Now let's conclude the poem Prospis. Prospis is one of the few subjective poems of Robert Browning, where he says that life is temporary and death allows you to get reunited with your loved ones in eternity. Browning voices that end of the life is inevitable. Life is merely a journey. By using the metaphor that life is a journey, he says that every journey has to end. That is, death has to come. So why not face this ultimate truth of death? Why not face death just like a fighter and achieve everlasting bliss and peace? So thank you, dear students, for your patient hearing of the video. I hope by this video you could understand the thoughts and the message that Robert Browning wanted to convey to us. I hope that this video will help you to have a greater understanding, a detailed understanding of the poem Prospis. Thanks a lot.